Gentlemen, let's start the story here. So my phone rings yesterday at about 9:30 or 8:30 last night, and it was this person that sounded very young to me on the phone. And I answered the phone. I said, "Man, what's going on? I've had several people recommend you to me. I was wondering if you could help me out." And I said, "Bud, can you do me a favor and call me tomorrow during normal business hours?" So we talked and we figured out what those hours would be. And he goes, "Okay, I'll call you tomorrow." So he called me today, and I wasn't able to get back to him until later on this afternoon. And what it was a 14-year-old young man who wanted my help putting his amplifier back together that he had. And I was like, holy shit, 14-year-old kid that wants to get into radio, and all he's calling for is for me to help give him some guidance on how to put his amp back together. I said, well, let's take a look at what you got for your amplifier. And so he proceeds to send me pictures. And I start looking at the pictures, and it's this old, worn out Dominator box. And I was like, dude, it would be so much better off if we could just go ahead and get you a clean cabinet and let's start over from scratch. Oh, well, he goes, as you imagine, I don't have that big of a budget. I'm like, right. I remember being the same age as this young man and also having to overcome the hurdles that he's talking about having to overcome. I can remember being a young man, being broke as shit, thinking, my God, I'd love to have this cool stuff, but I could never afford it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. 2, 4. Let's throw one more down here. Okay, those are all of our pill screws. So I got to thinking, I'm like, man, it would be... I like to do things like this. I like to find people that want to learn, but in turn I get to help a little bit, right? And I thought, my God, 14 years old. I remember the exact same time in my life, thinking the same things. I just remember, right? So I thought to myself, well, let's get everybody involved. Now, he made some interesting statements to me on the phone that I don't understand, and if I ever find out who told him these things, I'm going to find them and kick them right in the boy bag, okay? He said that he's called several other people to try and get help on how to put his amplifier back together. And they've all told him that they can't help him until he's 21. And I was like, what? That's the dumbest shit I think I've ever heard. He's like, no, seriously. They told me they wouldn't help me until I was at least 21 years old. I was like, what the fart snack bullshit's that all about? I said, well, you called the right guy. So let's see here. Input transformer choke, output to the remote jack. Let's see. Fan, output transformer. Cool. I said, buddy, listen. This young man, I said, listen, radio is full of people that want to try and help young people achieve their goals. But I just took one picture of what he had there to work with, and I went, nope. I'm not going to try and explain to him how to reroute all the wires. I said, so what do you have for tools? And he goes, well, I got a drill. I said, cool, 43. I said, you got a soldering iron? He goes, yes. I said, good. What kind of solder do you got? He goes, 60-40 lead-free. And I went, oh, no. I said, so let's see your soldering iron. So he gives me a picture of a 30-watt soldering iron. I went, no, you're going to need something a little bit bigger than that. So I started thinking in my head, we need to live in a world where we help each other out. And I thought, due to the fact that I got a large Patreon group that helps support me, and I try to take that money that I receive from the Patreon guys and I try to pay it forward or use it for something productive towards radio. How about we just make this our monthly donation to the RF gods? And I told him, I said, okay, I'm going to work with you. We're going to figure this all out. I'm going to get you all the parts that you need. And let's go build you an awesome 4-pill amp. He goes, whoa, wait a minute. How am I going to pay for all of that? And I said, buddy, leave that up to me. I said, just leave it up to me. He goes, well, I don't understand what you're doing. Well, I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call some of the most influential and most powerful people in radio, and we're going to make it so that you can have all the parts delivered to your front door to help support you in your desires and your wishes of building yourself a good amplifier for yourself to use. And I said, the most important bit of this is, yeah, you're going to get $400 or $500 worth of parts, but what you're going to get from me, most importantly, is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to explain to you how everything works, how to put everything together, what the sequence of events are that you need to understand to make all this work. I'm going to teach you how to fix your own amp or build your own amp. And he goes, you're kidding me. I went, no, I'm not. I'm not. So I said, let me let you go. Let's make sure that I'm not putting my foot in my mouth, and let's make sure that we get this pulled off properly. I said, so before we get too far down this rabbit hole, just help me understand, do you got a pair of wire dikes? Yes. Do you have a set of wire strippers? Yes. Do you understand how to use them? Yes. I said, I need you to start practicing your soldering skills. He goes, okay, why? I said, because you're going to use them. We're going to teach you how to do everything. I'm going to teach you how to build every single thing from the ground up. I said, it'll take us about probably 4 or 5 nights on the phone, and we'll get this put together for you. He's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm like, no, it's nothing to me. I spend hours a day on the phone already doing this exact job, basically providing customer support. So I asked him, I said, man, you got a Dremel? Yeah. You got a cutting disc? Yeah. I said, cool. So what we're doing now, I'm going to take the pill strips, I'll mark them with a Sharpie, because we all know that we can take Sharpie mark off with either rubbing alcohol or a carb cleaner. I'm not going to cut the pill strips. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not going to cut the pill strips for him. I want him to do that. I want him to do as much of this as hands-on as he possibly can. And I remember being 14. I told him, I said, we got a narrow little window to get you interested in electronics. But as long as we get that initial seed of thought planted in their head for radio or electronics, they're going to be set for the rest of their lives. So I just want to foster that in you. I think it's really neat that you're this interested into it. So he's got himself like an Amtron 99 and some coax and a watt meter. He's got a local guy that he's going tomorrow to go pick up a 100 amp power supply from, which I thought was tits. Double side stick tape. Let's see, I got to give him some resistors. So He says, wow, this is neat. So I got off the phone with him real quick, and I made some phone calls. So the first person I called was my friend Tony over at Fat Boy. I said, hey man, you want to have some fun? And he goes, Bud, I've had a hell of a day. He goes, I don't know if I'm down for anything too radical. What do you got in mind? And I told him what was going on. He goes, how can I help? I said, is there any way that I can get a cabinet, a board, and a heat sink from you? That's it. That's all I need from you. He goes, well, I might have an extra one or two laying around here that we could figure out something to do with. So he's going to send him a brand new cabinet, board, and heat sink for a 2x4. Right? That's Fat Boy, ICA Manufacturing, Fat Boy's donation to this thing, is he's going to donate this young man the cabinet. So then I get off the phone with him, and I immediately call my really good close friend Zane over at Big Rig Radio in Phoenix, Arizona, and said, hey man, do you want to help with this? And he goes, oh man, yeah, I get it. I understand where you're going with this. This is sweet. Most people would, because most people are humans. And so he immediately got on board with the idea, and he goes, well, what do you want from me? And I said, dude, I just need you to donate the wire. Because I'm trying to break it up now, right? I said, I just need you to donate the wire. Just donate the wire. And I said, I'll take care of everything else. So what Zane's going to actually kick in is the metal clad caps to go over the output transformers. He's going to kick in the wire for this deal and a couple other goodies that this young man's going to need. It's going to be a surprise. So then I get off the phone with Zane and I call my buddy B-Rad. And by the way, B-Rad stands for Brian Smith at Truck CB Sales. And I said, B-Rad, this is what I got going on. Do you want to get involved? And he's like, hell yeah. So Brian's going to throw in a fan and a couple other goodies for this young man to have. And I think before it's all said and done, 3 phone calls later, I call him back. I said, my man, we are going to hook you up. We're going to hook you up. Let me think here for a minute. Let's see. He's going to need a grommet. He's going to need a grommet. Let's go over here to the grommet getting place. And I keep them here. Okay. It's a cut to fit kind of thing. All right. Zane's going to donate the wire. The homeboy's going to donate the fan cabinet. I'm going to throw an extra fan guard in this thing. Pill strip, pill screws. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I was just super excited when everybody wanted to get on board to help. I thought this was cool. So if we're lucky, by us putting the energy, I just want to make sure he's got the exact right wire that he needs to do this. If we're lucky, by us putting a little bit of energy into one person, when I'm crusty and old, and God says PP don't work no more, I can go on to the great RF gods in the sky and know I've done my due diligence to try and help promote the next generation. I've done this already. There are multiple people that are in this hobby right now that are either building boxes or working on radios because they started watching this YouTube channel. And I think that's awesome. Now I could mention these people like I was bragging and drop names, but that's not what I'm going to do. Because I am not the one standing in their shop putting in work. I despise the people that show up in my universe and go, well, you know, so-and-so owes everything he has because I did this and I did that. I hear people use these stupid, retarded phrases themselves in talking about me sometimes, and I'm like, geez, I don't remember you paying any of the taxes, and I don't remember you doing any of the hard work, and I don't remember you being around to shoot any of the videos, and I don't remember you paying for any of the equipment. But yes, you sold me a bird meter one time, kind of thing. Whatever. So where we're at now, let's start here. So my friend, you're going to get from me a fan grill guard, but you're also getting a fan, don't worry. You're getting old rusty busted. I've had this Weller. This is an old 100 watt soldering iron. This is like old reliable. This is like from Janet down the street. All the neighbor boys have dated her, but she still absolutely gets the job done. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you get older. I've kept this thing around as my backup iron. I actually bought this at our local electronic recycler joint about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. The tip's in great shape. Believe me, having the right size iron is going to make this project a whole lot easier. I'm sending you some decent 60-40 solder. There's more than plenty enough here to do this entire project plus 10 more. We're going to send you the rubber stop or the plastic stop for the front of the cabinet. These are all of your fan screws. This is going to hold your fan in. Oh, I need to put one more eyelet in this list for the fan. Right there. Okay. These are your 120 puff capacitors. These are 104s for your flybacks. These are your 43s for your power wire chokes and your fan chokes and your cabinet choke. This is type 63. These are for your combiners. I'm going to have you build them in two different ways and explain to you the different ways that they're going to need to be put together. So I'm sending you 4 pieces of that. 4 10 ohm resistors, your input and output tuning capacitors. A little bit of thermal jizz. This is the magic white compound about. This sits between the transistors and the heat sink. I'm going to send you 4 HG2879 16D08s, all the accompanying pill screws for that. These are all the screws to hold the case on. These are the screws, and you'll notice that they're longer, that hold the coax connectors on, these things over here. Your 2 eyelets from your coax connectors down to the board, all of your 632 nuts with the star lock washers on them that are kept on the actual nut. This is for your output transformers. I'll explain what this is for once you get them. Here is your harmonic suppressor resistor flyback resistors and your balance resistors. Over here, let's scoot on over. This is going to be your grommet for your power wires. These are going to be your disc capacitors for your power distribution bus. This is going to be your power distribution bus. This is your entire key-up circuit. This is your relay. Also in this bag is this diode. Actually, I need to add one more diode to this entire equation too. Go over here and grab one of these off the reel. This smaller diode we're going to end up putting across these 2 poles of your relay. We'll talk about that later, don't worry about it. We're going to use this bigger diode. This is a 6 ampere. We're going to use it off your positive pole back to the case, the board ground. Here's your power strips, or your pill strips. We're going to take and cut right along each one of these Sharpie marks so they're nice and perfectly straight with your Dremel. I'll explain how to do that on the phone later on. Then we come back and we got to clean that up really good. There's a whole process that goes along with that. These are your 2 output transformers. These are my personal. These are like $25 a piece, right? And they're $23, $24 to make. Personal BBI input transformers. The capacitors for those input transformers. Directly from Max Gain Systems, best money can buy, silver-plated Teflon, gold-plated center conductor coax connectors. Enough 316 coax to make this happen. positive and negative wire, and double-sided stick tape for your relay and a few other things. This is not all of it. Like I said, what else is coming to you, young man? Is you're going to get a cabinet like this. It'll show up most likely in a container like this. You're also going to get yourself a brand new cabinet, board, and heatsink. Cabinet, board, and heatsink for us to work out of. As I like to call it, a clean palette. We're going to start from new. And then when we're done with this whole process and you get this whole thing working, I'm going to help you fix your Dominator as well. I feel that that's only fair. Where's my giant bag of rubber feet? You're going to need 4 rubber feet. 4 rubber feet for this thing. Zane's also going to donate. He's got some really cool push button, backlit, on-off buttons he's going to send you for the cabinet. So you're going to have to drill that out and figure out how to deburr all that stuff. Just one step at a time. We're just going to take this one step at a time. It'll be easy. Don't let this be overwhelming to you. You've got one of the world's greatest, well, you got 4 of the greatest people in radio working with you to help support you. When this is said and done, we need 4 extra new screws now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. When you're said and done in this process, you'll get into formed relationships with myself, the second largest CB shop in the United States, the largest one on this side of the Mississippi, the largest online CB shop in the United States, and the largest parts supplier in the United States. All from this one project, and all simply because you called and said, hey, I'm young, I'm interested in this old man hobby, I think it's fun, will you help me? And because of the support of the Patreon supporters over here is the whole reason this is happening, which is a flippin' army of 700 plus people now that are all trying to help make radio a better place. So young man, I hope you take these gifts and we go and we build you an awesome box that you're going to have a lot of fun killing your neighbors with. These are good things. So, if this young man needs anything else, I'll let the appropriate people know, and I'm sure that we'll be able to get you started. But you got to stay focused, and you got to take care of your shit. I'm just saying. But radio is fun. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life, short of my wife and my kid. So welcome aboard. You'll be my 24th student I've had since I've started out here working for radio. Because I work for radio. Nobody works for me. I work for everybody else. On that note, so gentlemen, thank you for tuning in, following along. Thank you for your patronage. Let's go make radio a better place, because that is truly what it's all about. Gentlemen, my name is BBI, and I'll see you. Click, click.